Hey cats, it's Ed, Midsole here. The recently released Asics Novablast 4 has gathered lots of interest from the viewers. It's a very popular line, this one from Asics, but is it still the do-it-all value shoe that it was before? Today I'm comparing it up against the Vomero 17, the ADIDAS Boston 12, the FOREVERRUN NITRO from PUMA, and the monster midsole of the Asics Superblast. Which one's going to come out on top? Let's find out. Hello outsole enthusiasts, it's Ed, Midsole here, taking a closer look at the Asics Novablast 4 today. The Japanese brand have sent this one over to me for review, but they're not paying me to make this video, nor will they be vetting my views before my valued viewers get to see them. First up, retail prices on these shoes as follows: £135 for the Novablast 4, £145 for the Vomero 17, £140 for the ADIDAS Boston 12. The PUMA FOREVERRUN NITRO comes in around £140, though it is heavily discounted right now, and £195 at retail for the Asics Superblast. We'll kick off the comparisons today with the Vomero 17 from Nike. In terms of weight, there's quite a bit more heft to this Nike model over the Novablast 4. It's in fact heavier by a full ounce. The 4-foot width in the two shoes and the actual width in the heel are pretty much the same, though I'd suggest the Vomero 17 has a much lower volume in the toe box in terms of height. There is a little bit more space there in the Asics Novablast 4, though both of these shoes do come in a little bit on the narrower side, it has to be said. In all honesty, I think I prefer the fit actually in the Vomero 17 this time around. I've had some real issues trying to get the tongue to stay in the right place here on my runs. Around about 4 or 5 miles, it just seems to slide around. There's no lace loops or anything here to hold it in place. The tongue is that bit more considerable on the Vomero 17. There's a lot more padding there, but it just seems to stay put no matter what I do to it. And I think the lace length on the Vomero 17 is a little bit more dialed in this time around. Though at pace, I think the Novablast 4s are a little bit more exciting and exhilarating to run in. I think that's where the lower weight of this shoe starts to come into play. Around about half marathon pace, it really does start to shine a little bit more than the Vomero 17. Though I'd suggest that neither shoe's really a race type model this time around. Certainly the Novablast 4 seems to prefer that higher pace training a little bit more than the Vomero 17. It's firmly in the longer, slower run category this time around. I mean, you could probably even do some recovery type efforts in the Vomero 17 if you wanted to as well. It does feel like quite a plush and cushioned shoe, though the side walls here that are made up of that Zoom X, certainly in the heel, really aren't underfoot, so it's just there for show. Just added weight for no real performance gain. If I had to pick between one of these two shoes, it would have to be the Asics Novablast 4 this time around. It's a little bit cheaper than the Vomero and it's just a little bit more fun to run in. Next up, we've got the ADIDAS Boston 12. Now, it's about £10 extra at retail for the Boston 12. This shoe is a real banger and a serious competitor right now. You can race in this shoe, you can train in this shoe. I did just notice somebody on Facebook has actually ran a full marathon in this one, so it was absolutely fantastic. We have pretty much the same weight and the same midsole stack here and a very similar drop. I have to say though, I kind of prefer the less bulky upper fit in the Boston 12 over the Novablast. Just feels there's a little bit more propulsion here from the midsole setup as well. Got those dual foams, just one slab of foam here in the Novablast 4. It's a soft yet rigid midsole here, especially with those energy rods too. Just seems like you can go up through the gears a little bit easier. This does feel a little bit more like a daily sort of trainer now. Nice impact protection here from the Flight Foam Blast Plus. I guess a little less heft than the Nimbus 25 model, but it is the same foam underfoot. That's probably going to appeal to lots of people. I just find the Boston's got a little more to it. Another area that the Boston's just that little bit better is in the outsole. There's just far too many little areas here to pick up debris and dirt. And I'm seeing a lot of exposed midsole wear already. The Continental rubber here on the ADIDAS shoe is just a step up if you ask me. The Boston 12's been absolutely superb update. Just fits with lots of paces very nicely. It's a bit like what the Nike Zoom Fly used to be back in the day. A really good price for a really nice sort of tempo shoe. It's just a really nice, pleasant surprise, this one. I didn't expect to like the Boston 12 so much, but for a tenner extra, I think it just offers a lot more to you runners out there. Bit of a bonus comparison here up against the FOREVERRUN Nitro from Puma. Almost looks like it's on fire. I really like the lovely smooth midsole performance that you get here in the FOREVERRUN Nitro. And there's some killer discounts as well, with the shoe coming in around about that £100 price mark. There is a little bit more weight here in the Puma shoe over the Novablast 4, around about an ounce actually, but it's not all that noticeable on foot. Upper on the Pumas are a little bit more accommodating for me, and the dual lace loops that we've got on the tongue here mean that we don't get any sliding around of that section of the shoe. Less weight, and I feel that does give the Novablast 4 a little step up in terms of performance here. Just feels like a slightly better option if you want to run at pace, though I would suggest if it's down to comfort here, the Puma FOREVERRUN Nitro's just got a little edge over the Novablast. Slightly more dialed in if you want to run a distance effort, and I feel the Puma grip on the outsoles a little bit better. A very unique pattern here that really amplifies the traction underfoot. You can't have it all, can you? There's those cutouts here that provide that sort of trampoline-like feel in the Novablast. Though with that, you've got a lot of exposed midsole here, and of course that's going to mean that durability takes a bit of a knock. Now, don't get me wrong, I really like the styling of the Novablast 4, but there does seem to be a real push at the moment from lots of brands to boost the midsole here right up around the heel, so you've got a lot of foam that's not directly underneath the foot. It does beg the question as to what the shoe would be like without that. I don't really feel that it would be overtly unstable. It does remind me a little bit of ADIDAS, what they used to do with those Ultra Boost models, where you had a massive boost foam right up around the heel, kind of encapsulating it. Yes, this one from Puma is a slight hint at stability, and again you've got that sort of midsole creeping up around the foot, but it just feels warranted in this model, certainly at this weight and this price point and the intended use, I suppose, where the Novablast's always been seen as a more sprightly, nimble model. Just seems a bit of a weird addition, I suppose. If I had to have one shoe on the desert running island, it would have to be the FOREVERRUN Nitro, I think, this time around. Just a little bit more comfortable for the intended use. Less bells and whistles, in fact. Last up is the most requested comparison between the Novablast 4, that's the Asics Superblast. Now, is it really worth spending the extra Earth credits to pick up the Superblast over the Novablast 4? It's another 60 quid or so. Well, I can wholeheartedly say yes, it is. The Superblast really is in another class compared to the Novablast 4. Don't buy that one thinking you're going to get some sort of cut down version of this. It's a very different ride underfoot. Again, Asics are going for that more midsole around the heel style solution, but you do get a much wider base underfoot, certainly in the forefoot here, and there's some increased width in the heel too. It's a softer, smoother landing than in the Novablast 4. I do, though, hope in a follow-up to the Superblast we do get improved traction here, because the Novablast 4 toasts the Superblast in that respect. They've got to do something to position the rubber to stop these sort of holes here from allowing rocks in. This area here especially is really prone to taking on rocks and debris. I think the major issue for everybody with this shoe is going to be the price. You know, you're close to £200 here. Some people aren't going to want to spend that on a daily use shoe, but I guess you can utilise this one also for doing some longer distance racing if you wanted to. A few people have even asked me about using this one for like ultra races. I think it'd probably work out very well. The amount of cushion that you get in terms of the weight, it's very good. Unmatched really in terms of the cushion and weight. I have found it to be a reasonably durable shoe though. I think I'm close to like 100 miles now, and there's very little wear in terms of the rubber. When you consider that the proposed weight of the Farstar Nitro 2 from Puma is like 280 grams or something in my size, that's round about what we've got here in the Asics Superblast. So as such, I think if you've got the extra cash, go for the Superblast. Just if you pick up the Novablast 4, don't expect the same type of ride. They're very different shoes, despite the fact that the actual profile and styling is a little similar. Underfoot feel is vastly different. It's a little firmer here, there's a little less sort of pop from the shoe. The Superblast is super smooth and very sort of weightless almost. Very nimble sort of feel underfoot. I think it could actually be a great marathon shoe for a lot of people if you don't want to go for one of those carbon plated options. Okay, that's my thoughts on the Asics Novablast 4 so far. More miles to come and maybe some more comparisons. If there is a specific comparison you want to see me go through with this shoe, please let me know in the comments below, or just comment on any of these models and any matters that are relevant. Quick musical interlude for you. Continuing the Christmas theme today with one of my real favourites from Mud, Lonely This Christmas. Wonderful intro on this one. You know it is Lonely This Christmas by Mud when it comes on. Fantastic harmonies there and sort of doo-wop vibes. What I love about this is the vocal delivery. The guy sounds, you know, really upset that his loved one has left him, you know, for Christmas all on his own. You have visions, you know, just of him staring out of the window into the nothingness. He's sort of reminiscing about these other Christmases when the person's been there. He wishes he could go back, you know, and sort of rekindle the fire. And of course you've got the fantastic spoken word section later in the track where they bring everything right down. Some fantastic backing vocals in this song. People, I don't think, give it the credit it deserves. Mud had some very accomplished musicians and they really produced the goods on this one. Definitely some Elvis inspiration here, but you know, what's wrong with that? Mud, Lonely This Christmas. Thanks for tuning in, people. It's always appreciated. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, but also give this video a thumbs up like. My name's Eddbud, and I'll be seeing you